All right, guys, today we are going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions and decimals. And we're going to deal with positive and negative decimals. So it's going to be like adding and subtracting fractions, just like you did before, with common denominators. And then we're going to incorporate our number lines for figuring out negatives and positives. So my first example, I have negative 3/4 plus 2/4. And I do have the same exact common denominator. So what I'm going to do is combine these into one fraction by adding my numerators. And remember, numerators are the top. And then I don't add my bottom. So you add the top, leave the bottom, the denominator the exact same. Okay, then we go with our number line. Remember, this first number is where you start, and the second number is left or right based off of positive or negative. So in this example I have, my start is going to be a -3. And then I will move to the right 2 because it's a +2. So 1, 2. So that means my numerator will then simplify to a -1, and then I would leave the 4. All right, then we would do our second example, which is -5/8 minus 3/8. So I do have the same common denominator, so I can go ahead and combine these into 1 and leave it as an 8. And then I will take my two tops, -5, and this will be a -3, a subtract 3. I still do the exact same process though. My first number will be where I start, so I'm going to start at a -5. And my second number will be whether I go left or right. And since it's negative, we will go left. Okay, so I'll go left 3. 1, 2, 3. And if you ever run out of number line, you can always add spaces for you. So I have -8 here. -8 divided by 8, I can simplify this. You can just treat it like it's division. -8 divided by 8 is just a -1. Remember though that if you leave your answer just like this, that's totally okay too. All right, then we get into mixed numbers, and mixed numbers are whole numbers and fractions combined. And we're going to treat them, we're going to subtract our whole numbers from our whole numbers and our fractions from our fractions, or add them if we're adding them. So on this one, I have 1 1/2 minus 2 1/2. So I'm going to do 1 minus 2 to come up with my first number, which again, I would do the exact same thing that I've been doing. My first number is where I start, and my second number tells me which way to go and how many. So I'm going to start at a +1, and I'm going to move 2 to the right. All right, so then my whole numbers become a -1. Then I'm going to subtract my fractions. 1/2 minus 1/2. Well, you can kind of just think about that. 1/2 minus 1/2 is 0. Or you can go ahead and do what we did above. 1 minus 1 into one numerator over 2. And 1 minus 1 would be 0. And then go back to treating it like a division problem. So here, my fraction completely goes away, and I'm just left with the answer of -1. All right, then for my next one, I'm going to do the same. There is no whole number there for me to subtract the whole number of 1 from. So we can think of this like a 0 right here. So I can do 0 minus 1. You don't need to put the negative there because there's no such thing as a negative 0. But if it makes you feel better, go for it. So 0 will be where I start, and I'm going to move left 1 because it is negative. So starting at 0, left 1. Okay, so that would become a negative 1. Then I'm going to deal with my fractions. Here I can't forget about the negative. I have negative 3/4 minus 1/4. All right, I'm going to treat it exactly like I did up above. So I'm going to combine them because I have the same denominator. And then my tops will be negative 3 minus 1. I'll combine them into 1. And then I can go ahead and use my number line to figure out where to go. So negative 3 will be where I start. And I'm going to go to the left 1 because it's negative. So that would be negative 4. All right, then I'm going to do what I've been doing and just kind of divide these and see what I get. I can divide negative 4 by 4 to get a negative 1. All right, then I need to go back and attach it to that other whole number. So this new thing would become negative 1 minus another 1. And again, it's kind of sloppy. Let's fix that a little bit. All right, negative 1 minus 1. Again, your first number is where you start, so I'm going to start at a negative 1. Second number, left or right, and how many? It's negative, so I'm going to go left, and I'll end up at negative 2. So negative 2 would be my answer here. All right, then we also have fractions that don't have the same denominator. For that, you need to multiply so that you can get the same denominator, and then you can go ahead and do what we just did. So on my first one, I have 3/4 and 7/8. So I want to get 4 to 8. In order to do that, I need to multiply both top and bottom by 2/2. When I do that, I get 6/8. And then it becomes exactly like the first few problems. Combine them into one denominator and combine your numerators. And then take a look at the first number. That's where you start. My second number tells me left and right, so I'm going to go left 7 because it's negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to become a negative 1/8. All right, next example. I need to make negative 2/3 and 7/12 have common denominators. Well, 3 can get to 12 if I multiply both top and bottom by a 4. So 4/4. 2 times 4 gives me 8, and 3 times 4 gives me 12. And I have that negative. And then I will copy down the rest. Now I have the same denominator, so I can go ahead and combine those into 1. And then I can combine my numerators, negative 8 plus 7. Then it becomes exactly like we've been doing. Negative 8 is where I start. And then I move to the left 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that would be my final answer. All right, and last we have decimals. Decimals are a little bit more tricky because you have to figure out which one's the bigger one so you can figure out what the sign should be and how to subtract them and line them up so that the bigger one's on top. So when I'm doing this, I have 1.5 minus 3.7. So 3.7 is the bigger number. So I'm going to take that on top. And we line it up just like a normal subtraction problem and carry down your decimal point straight down. Okay, then you need to subtract. So 7 minus 5 is 2, and 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, then you need to decide whether it's positive or negative. Well, since 3.7 was my bigger number and it was negative, that means my final answer would be negative. If the bigger number is negative, my final answer will be negative. Okay, let's look at this one. Here they are both negative. So when they're both negative, remember you're going to get more negative. If I have $2.20 and I spent even more, or if I'm already negative $2.20 and I spent even more money, I'm going to end up being negative. But in order to figure out how much total money I spent, I can go ahead and actually just add them together, and then I can throw a negative sign in front to represent how much money I've actually spent. And you just add it just like normal. All right, this one, I have negative 3.1 and 2.25. So I have opposite signs, so I need to figure out which one's the bigger one. This one's the bigger one. So I am going to subtract. So if you have opposite signs, you're subtracting. Same sign, you're adding. So I'm going to take 3.1 minus 2.25. I'm going to throw in a 0 there. Bring that decimal straight down. And then we do some borrowing. So I'm going to take a 0. I'm going to take a 1 from here. And then that gives me 10 minus 5 for 5. I'm going to take 1 from here to get 10 minus 2. And then I have 2 minus 2. Okay, then you have to think again, was my bigger one negative or positive? Here, my bigger number was negative, so that means my final answer would be negative. Okay, so to recap, opposite signs, subtract them, put the bigger one on top. Same signs, add them together, then decide whether it's negative or positive. If you're spending money twice, you're going to be more negative. All right, that is how you add, subtract decimals and fractions.